War is an ugly thing, but not the ugliest of things. The decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling, which thinks that nothing is worth war, is much worse. The person who has nothing for which he is willing to fight, nothing which is more important than his own personal safety, is a miserable creature and has no chance of being free unless made and kept so by the exertions of better men than himself. John Stuart Mill. An interesting character. In his early life, after having studied the classic Greek philosophers Herodotus and many others, he came to this realization, but in his later life, he did a complete about-face. And you would have to ask yourself why that would be. Well, we can see it in this quote. He talks about the decayed and degraded state of moral and patriotic feeling which thinks. Feelings don't think. And thoughts don't come from feelings. Feelings don't think. See, it's a direct contradiction here. And I'm going to show you guys something here in a minute that's going to blow your mind that is the exact antithesis of this that you would also 100% agree with. Swear allegiance to the flag, whatever flag they offer. Never hint at what you really feel. Teach the children quietly. For someday sons and daughters will rise up and fight while we stood still. Now, if my demographics information still holds, the vast majority of my audience will know immediately what this is from. It's an 80s song called Silent Running. And the counsel here is do whatever you need to do to stay alive for the kids. It's exactly the opposite of fight for something ethereal like freedom or liberty or whatever. The kids are far more important than that. They're going to need you to be alive. So I don't care what flag they bring. Don't risk putting yourself at danger and losing the children. This is a tough thing to square up, these two ideas. Here's John Stuart Mill, English philosopher, political economist, member of Parliament, one of the most influential thinkers in the history of classic liberalism. He contributed widely to social theory, and political economy. Dubbed the most influential English-speaking philosopher of the 19th century, he conceived of liberty as justifying the freedom of the individual in opposition to unlimited state and social control. In his later years, whilst continuing to staunchly defend individual rights and freedoms, he became more critical of economic liberalism, which brings us to another point. I'm sure many of you have heard the story of the military being deployed in Sydney to enforce lockdown. And some have expressed fears that that could be the case here. A standing military, a standing army was something that our founding fathers were dead set against because it's a form of corporatism. And many don't understand, well, wait a minute, corporatism, how does that have to do with anything? You see, the individual soldier, individual soldier, sailor, airman, marine, guardsman, they're not responsible for their actions if they're following orders. And actually, neither are their commanders if they have received orders from even farther on high. You see, that's what goes on in a corporation. The person behind the counter at Walmart checking you out isn't responsible for the decisions made by the people who own that. So it's really a get-out-of-jail-free card. These guys can go do whatever they're ordered to do completely free of consequences as long as they're following orders. Benito Mussolini, fascism should more appropriately be called corporatism, because it is a merger of state and corporate power. But corporatism is a natural, unavoidable outgrowth of capitalism. And I'm sure I just lost a lot of people there. How can you say that, Mickey? How can you say that? Well, it's very simple. Capitalism starts with people owning businesses and trying to make money and trying to support their families. That's all good and fine. But if the business grows and becomes successful, a certain amount of new risk is required. And people have to continually do the risk-reward analysis. As the business gets bigger and bigger and grows, some people do LLCs, some people incorporate to control their risk. And when people start to incorporate and then branch out and put different franchises all over the place, they absolve themselves of the risk involved or the bad decisions that those people might make. Which is exactly this. In a nutshell, the military is a form of corporatism, which is a natural outgrowth. This was all totally unavoidable, because it's the idea of simply just mitigating risk. You can't blame the teller at your local Chase Bank for the decisions of JP Morgan, can you? You can't even blame her manager. Walmart, Coke, McDonald's, you can't hold the people that work there liable, or their managers, or probably even their regional managers. They're protected by the corporate shield, which is a natural outgrowth always of capitalism because of the risk-reward analysis that is required. So some say, Florida Maquis, what's the answer? What's the answer to this? How do we fix it? We can't go totally socialist. This was always the answer. This is what the founding fathers had in mind. They did not have USA, America, in mind when they founded this nation. They had states' rights in mind. And that's why Florida is what Florida is, and Michigan is what Michigan is, and Pennsylvania, and California, and Texas. See, as much as people want you to be, quote-unquote, united at all cost, that's not the case. The world is not stupid. They see our elections every 4 years. They realize we are people with basically two groups, that there's nothing in common between those two groups. It isn't D.C. and federalism and the federal military that made this country strong. It's states' rights. 50 state governors, 50 state senates, 50 state houses of representatives, 50 Supreme Courts, 50 state security forces. That's what made us formidable to the world. Because they could drop a state or two, drop 2 or 3 or 4, and every other state still had the ability to function independently. When we get rid of states' rights, excuse me, it's over, guys. It is over. If we don't stand up for states' rights right now, we will lose the integrity that has made this country what it is. Corporatism, I agree, is the problem. But remember something, it is a natural outgrowth of unfettered capitalism. This guy talked about people willing to fight for feelings. Is that what you're really fighting for? Feelings? Patriotic feelings, or America, or a flag, or whatever? Or are you fighting for your kids, like our governor is? He said it multiple times, kids need to be first. And I remember when he was saying it yesterday during the press conference, this song popped right into my head. When you have kids, you will do what you need to do to keep them safe. Period. And that's why this whole COVID thing coming after the kids changes the dynamic completely. It really does. You see, Australia can get away with this. It ain't happening here. It ain't happening here. And they know it. That's why they're continually trying to use social media and Black Mirror nonsense to influence behavior. They're outnumbered. They're outgunned. It would be impossible, logistically impossible, for them to do what's going on in Sydney. But the real answer is here. The real answer is right here. Benito Mussolini said it. To get rid of that corporate power, we need to just stop corporations, period. And if we stop corporations, that's going to change the dynamic in this country in a way that some people might not like. Because it may look a little bit more like democratic socialism when we start saying that business needs to have written into its missions of things to do today the idea that our well-being at the state level, at the local level, is a priority. Because this corporate absolving of responsibility has to go away. The drug companies have abused it. The tech companies have abused it. The media has abused it. This idea of corporations. And you do not have corporations get to this level without a root of capitalism. And I will leave it there. God bless, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you tonight on Twitch.